Morning all. Welcome to another set of Demonworld painting. I'm Dan, joined again by Matty. Morning Matty.
Morning Dan, good morning all.
One of my very first bosses in my professional capacity as a working man, one of his favourite expressions was, "Let's kick this in the nuts and see what it does." So I feel that's appropriate, in an inappropriate sort of a way. I've moved the camera. I don't know if you can tell. The other problem I think maybe is that there's not quite enough, because if I'm here, maybe it's too low. So we might have to play with camera angle today, Matty.
Okay.
There's a scattered assortment of stuff on the bench. So this is the mortar that we were working on last live stream, which is now done. So happy with that turned out.
Quite so.
Then it was a public holiday in the middle of the week for us here in Australia. At least I assume it was the same for you. Sometimes we don't get the same public holidays.
Yes, the national holiday should be a national holiday.
It should be. Some people don't regard it as a national holiday anymore. They regard it as a political football.
Sure enough, but it says on the calendar that it's a holiday, and that's good enough for me.
Yes. I think a lot of people have that attitude now. So anyhow, I decided that for some mental health, that I would sit and get through some more figures. So that's one unit of noble, not sure what they're called. Well, they can't be noble swordsmen if they're carrying hammers. Maybe I should look at what the packet says. Never mind. But I wasn't content with one unit, so I did two. So these guys have got red feathers. The other guys have blue feathers. And I started on some personalities. I had a packet of personalities sent to me, so I suddenly realised that for playtesting I was going to need a leader, so I needed to paint a leader. So we have a commander and a wizard or caster, and another commander and another wizard or caster. These guys have names, but they're silly names, and I'm going to change them anyway.
Quite look at that second leader.
This one, the guy with the goldy stuff.
Yeah.
Oh. Come on, camera focus. Yeah, there's a fair bit of detail on that figure.
You're not wrong.
So what we're going to do today is these two guys, which are the last two of the 6 personality figures I got in that packet. So one of which is a caster and one of which is a leader, just because symmetry. And if we get through those, which is highly unlikely, I've got some more pikemen ready to go. These are no longer noble pikemen, they're just pikemen. The kind of guys that like to pike people. Hang out at Pike's Peak, maybe? Should I just stop?
I mean, if you want. I do get the Pikes Peak reference.
Alright.
Noble foot soldiers, by the way.
Noble foot soldiers. There you go. Apparently the rest of them isn't important, only their foot. And how's the weather been?
Not too bad. It rained on Wednesday, which was good fun. Not too heavy.
So, only 150 millimetres in 24 hours.
I didn't actually check. But it was enough to show that there are a few more leaks that need patching in the roof.
Great.
So hopefully I will remember where they are and try and do them at some point over the weekend.
Right. Now, it's funny you should say that. We had a storm yesterday, summer storm in Melbourne, pretty typical sort of a summer storm, and we have this intermittent problem with a semi-blocked stormwater, and we probably got, for argument's sake, we got 10 millimetres of rain in 20 minutes. I don't know that those numbers are accurate, but it gives you a sort of a flavour of what the rainfall was like. It was heavy and it was steady for a period of time, to the point where every single gutter on the house was overflowing to the outside because of the stormwater problem. So we have a plumber turning up this morning between 9 and 9:30 to go and have a look at that stormwater. Let's see whether it's roots or mud or whatever, but just...
So he's dropping a camera on a probe down it?
Yeah, I would have thought so. And then following it with his electric eel.
Good fun.
Good fun. Another Saturday morning, another adventure to empty my bank account. But, you know, we're on a slope, and the block slopes south to north, and it also slopes west to east. And the corner of the house that is northeast, the water boils up out of that stormwater point where the downpipe goes into the ground, boils up probably 18 inches when it's got that much water backed up around the house. And so the stormwaters are completely full and backed up all the way to the front of the house, and the garage floods, and the garage is southwest. So that gives you an idea of how much water is sitting in the drains. Yeah. So if we can get the stormwater cleared down to the exit point, the main stormwater line runs down the east-west, down the northern boundary of the house or the yard. If we can get it cleared to there, then we're not going to have that problem again, because there should be enough velocity on the water going through the pipes that it doesn't block up. The problem is when we moved in, is that there's a silt trap out the back, near the back of the alfresco area, and as far as I can tell, nobody had ever cleaned it out, and so the silt trap was full of silt and covering 2/3 or 3/4 of the outlet stormwater, which is not the point of a silt trap, right? The point of a silt trap is that you empty them every year. So I've done that twice, so I know that it isn't the silt trap that's the problem this time. It's everything that ended up in the pipe because nobody maintained the silt trap. So,
well, fingers crossed.
Well, I expect it will cost us. I don't think you'll have to replace any pipes. I think you'll be able to put one of those spray heads down it and just spray all of the mud out of it. But I'm hoping that there's also black bamboo growing down one of the boundary lines of the house, so maybe, just maybe, there's roots in there somewhere, but we'll see. When they put the stormwater in for the new workshop, they cut a section out to graft the downpipe for the workshop in, and that section of the stormwater was 3/4 full of mud, so I just assumed that the mud is the problem.
Well, I hope it is.
Are your leaks bad?
they're annoying. They're annoying. They
Right.
just go drip, drip, drip.
Yeah, right.
But they're in places that I hadn't previously patched, which is... These are new leaks since I've started fixing the roof.
What sort of roof is it?
This one, it's illegal. Outdoor bloody plastic sheet sort of thing.
Oh, righto.
I don't know what it's actually made of. I assume it's plastic.
So it's not a laser light or something?
No, I don't think so. It's just, someone stood up a patio
Oh, okay. Fair
and
enough.
covered a roof over it. And
So it's like a plastic-covered lean-to or something attached to the house.
pretty much.
You're right.
They did their best, but council inspectors certainly would not approve.
No. Not to code?
Not to code.
So there might be a little bit of noise at 9:30, but maybe not too much.
I have two stories about dropping inspection cameras down stormwater and sewer.
Yeah? Go on.
So, Tennant Creek,
Oh,
place you may have heard of, in the Northern Territory.
my parents
3,000 people.
lived
Oh, yeah,
there
that's
for some
right.
time. Go
E.
on.
coli capital of Australia. So, some years ago now, a company I was working for were building new subdivisions of Indigenous housing.
Right.
Indigenous council housing, basically. New subdivisions require new roads, new services, including stormwater and sewer and all that. The first of them that we got to do finished, but a shit fight in the Aboriginal Corporation prevented those houses from being occupied for about 12 to 14 months.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
This is already
So-
not good.
Well, yeah, so it was just politics. The
Mhm.
local council wanted a big chunk of government money to build houses and then not build them. The money came to us and we built them, so they didn't get the money.
Right.
Anyway. Finally comes time to occupy the houses. And there had been some other work going on since then that we weren't in control of. Telstra, for one, had come in and dug up the roads
Yeah.
to lay phone cable without consulting the dial dig plans, underground buried services.
Yeah.
So Telstra broke quite a bit of the stormwater when they were putting in phone lines wherever the hell they wanted.
Yeah.
But when it first rained after occupation, all of the stormwater backed up. I was like, what's going on here?
Hmm.
And there were threats of lawsuits and all of that. So we got a bloke with his camera on a rope, push it down the stormwater to see what's going on. Would you care to guess what the blockage was?
No, I don't think I could come up with something inventive enough.
It was a cane toad.
Oh.
A cane toad a metre across, stuck in the pipes and just feeding on whatever came down.
Wow. Just wow. The king of cane toads, huh?
Ooh, yeah. So that was good fun. I saw that video.
Wow. I didn't know they got that big, but it doesn't surprise me.
Well, if you don't have to go hunting and the food comes to you, you kind of end up like Jabba the Hutt.
Stop that. You've just described the last 3 weeks of my life.
I'm sorry. I won't tell the second story online.
Right, okay.
On air, because it's not nearly as funny. Is this a female caster?
It could be. It. Let's see if I can find the camera. It could be, but I sincerely doubt it.
The mustache would be a giveaway.
Well, it doesn't. No, it doesn't have a mustache, but it has a very receding hairline and an incredibly pointy chin.
Fair enough.
And while those don't necessarily mark one definitively as male, odds are.
Yeah. That's a great big distraction.
What is?
You've just put the figure aside and oh dear. This camera delay is,
No. I'm stuck in that whole Australian year, nah.
But it's good. Yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah. Are we the only culture that does that? Can't be.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah.
No, I've heard that from other English-speaking countries. I'm sure I have. I think we just popularized it through Kath and Kim. One day I want to track down the American remake of Kath and Kim and see just how truly awful it was.
They did one, did they?
They did. And it was absolutely panned from the get-go. I think it lasted 6 episodes.
Right.
I guess it was panned because it's just, basically the Kardashians, but poor.
Right. Keeping up with the cash-freeians. Or the no-cashians.
17, actually.
17 episodes.
The show's Australian broadcast was cancelled after the 2nd episode.
Right. Had ratings in single digits of viewers.
Probably.
It's still got more episodes than Firefly.
Sadly true.
How did you end up going with your ponies?
Oh, I just haven't done any socks. So instead I painted the various trims on the soldiers and the horses in gold and pink.
Nice.
Because if you can't be a big bad evil knight on horseback and wear pink and not get laughed at, then...
Well, it doesn't matter if you get laughed at, because when you get laughed at, you kill the person that laughed at you, you seek their family, and you remove their entire existence from the gene pool, because that's what being a baddie is.
Well, exactly. That's probably why they're wearing pink.
That's exactly right.
I actually have another pack of these guys. I'll do the other ones in purple.
Of course. And if you get another packet, you'll do them in orange.
Yeah, probably.
I've just discovered that my fingers are super sore. This will be from wrangling the puppy. Poor thing was spayed a little bit over a week ago. She hasn't been coping well.
Well, I think that's pretty fair.
Joe chose the laparoscopy procedure rather than the traditional dining room window procedure. So the scars that she's got are far, far, far smaller. The problem is, of course, that you need to stop them licking stitches and pulling stitches out and things like that, and
that's hard enough for humans.
Yep. The other really disappointing thing was that she got razor burn from when they shaved her fur back, and so she's had to have cortisone cream on the skin to stop her scratching.
Yummy.
One for the dog, one for me. One for the dog, one for me. No, not. So it's been a very, very difficult week as far as looking after her has been concerned.
Well, she'll heal in time.
Yeah, stitches come out Wednesday, so it'll be a lot easier. Then she won't have a cone of shame or a donut of doom or whatever it is. Like, we've got both, because the cone of shame was driving her mental, because she just kept crashing into everything, because that's what happens with a cone of shame on. And so Joe got her the donut of doom, and that's okay, except it's inflatable, so you can't leave it on her unsupervised, because she'll just put her teeth in it and pop it.
Oh dear.
Mm-hmm. Animal care.
Who comes up with inflatable coppers like that? I mean, seriously, think about it. Think about it.
Inflatable collars. I'm not sure where we're going with this.
Well, I was just thinking of another dog-related item that someone thought was a great idea. A feed bowl, but with little mazes in them.
Oh yeah.
That make dogs go slow in their eating for better digestion.
Oh yeah, no.
And then the dog just tips the whole thing over and eats off the floor.
Yeah, that's exactly.
They're clever like that.
So yes, we got some treat puzzles. So these weren't to slow her eating down. These were to keep her occupied and keep her mind engaged, and and so there's one like that. It's just sort of like it's a whole bunch of tassels, and you hide the food in amongst the tassels. See, I'm gonna have to glue that back on now. And yeah, exactly that. She put her nose under the edge, flipped it over, picked it up with her teeth, shook it so everything came out of it, flicked it away, and then went and picked up everything up off the floor. So it's like, okay, that one was worth nothing. It's okay. I think that one was $2. So no loss there. But then you go to the puzzles themselves, which is sort of the sliding and turning and those sorts of things. And she did all the easy and intermediate ones in under 30 seconds. And I think the super hard one, the hardest one you can buy, I think took her 15 minutes. So it's like, okay. Just waiting to see if the internet comes back. When the internet comes back. Looks like I have an internet connection.
Yeah, stream's back on. Welcome back.
Thanks. It got very dark.
Were you screaming all alone? No one to respond.
Just singing the donkey song.
So the stream's come back on, but there's no movement in your camera images. Oh no, it's just the inset one. I can see your hands moving now beneath your desk.
Right.
But the inset one is stuck on a picture of you with a bottle of glue in your hands.
Oh, it is too. Right. How about now?
Let me wait the 25-30 seconds. There it goes.
Right.
Yes. Wiggling your fingers.
Well, that was entertaining.
That's the first major technical hiccup I think you've had. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's been almost a year.
Almost a year. And that one wasn't my fault.
Was the puppy chewing on the Ethernet cable?
No, it was a complete power blackout.
Oh, that'll do it.
And the whole house went dead for 10 seconds.
puppy chewing on the switchboard.
I say the whole house went dead. Everything except the UPSs. So, this is why the laptop stayed up. This is why the stream and everything stayed running. It obviously bounced the. It either bounced the modem or it bounced the NBN router, because it definitely did lose an internet connection.
Last place I was living in had an NBN router, and it had a battery backup, a big old, I guess, lead acid battery sitting in it. Would you believe it didn't work?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All it would do was keep the modem on. It would do nothing for the connection between the building and the street.
Yeah.
Which is just, what's the freaking point?
Yeah, your problem is if the connection at the other end loses power, there's nothing you can do about it. So even if you've got power and your end is powered, if the other end isn't powered, it's all over.
Yeah, I know. So why are they selling it as though it's an emergency backup for people who need
I had no idea.
Uninterrupted things for medical services,
Yeah,
etc.
no idea.
That's how it was sold to me.
Right.
It's like, this is what it's for. And I'm like, okay.
It doesn't work that way. No, interesting.
Should have just gone with copper cables in the ground.
Yep.
Oh, wait, we did.
Yeah. The one I've got's got a 5G backup on it, but it's the that's the modem, not the NBN.
It's 5G or it's 5G Wi-Fi bandwidth? Those are separate things.
Yes, I'm not sure where to go with this technicality. So, it basically, when it detects the hard line is disconnected, it makes a phone call and establishes an internet connection to the nearest cell tower to resume internet connection.
So it's a 5G backup.
And we had this problem a number of streams ago, where the stream was really choppy and the audio was bad and everything. It's because we were running on that 5G backup and I was unaware of it, because someone had kicked a cable. One of the cats had been behind the TV, essentially.
I remember that stream, and I remember you describing the problem the next week. You would think that 5G would actually be better. Like, it's supposed to be better than 4G.
Well, in that case, it wasn't. So
maybe you're actually not got 5G. It's a lie.
Well, to be fair, the TV was on and streaming at the same time. So.
Well, that, is not supposed to do it as well.
No.
You're supposed to be able to stream multiple things over a single connection, 5G. Yeah. That's why they're pushing us to get it.
I know.
Of course, that's not the real reason.
I would have thought that we would have got better performance out of our NBN too, but we don't.
Yeah, well, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Steve Conroy.
Yep. Oh, we don't need that. You can just do this. I hear that all the time, every day in my professional life. Oh, you don't really need that. You can just do this.
Yep, that's why I'm currently using fragile tape instead of packing tape.
Oh, really?
For literally 2 whole months.
Right.
I've been saying, we're almost out of packing tape. We're almost out of packing tape. I sounded the alarm when I was down to 45 rolls.
Right. And now you're using fragile tape because...
Now I'm using fragile tape because no one bloody listened.
Mm-hmm.
Also zip ties. I sounded the alarm when I had 600 of those left.
Right.
Because I know that, charitable organisations don't like to spend money. Oh, it'll be alright, we'll get some as a donation. The universe will provide.
The universe will provide.
It actually does sometimes.
Yes, but not
it
normally
is weird.
Normally in a positive way.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Sometimes it actually does happen that something comes in at exactly the right time that we need it.
Yep.
Like, literally just yesterday. I've been trying to buy a clock all week.
Right.
A nice clock. And my hard deadline for it was yesterday, for today.
Right.
And I was thinking, I'm going to have to go to the nearest major shopping centre after work to pick one up. But at about 3 o'clock, woman brings in remains of her late mother's stuff.
Yes.
The late mother was an Avon lady. And within one of those lots of unsold Avon product was a clock. I'm like, bingo, this is exactly what I want.
Right.
It does actually happen. It's almost spooky.
Serendipitous.
It's happened a couple other times for me too. A tape gun. I only had one tape gun,
Yep.
Someone pinched one. The other one broke of the three, so I was down to one. And I said, I really need a tape gun. And within 24 hours, one had come in.
Somebody had donated a tape gun.
Someone had donated a tape gun.
There you go.
Packing tape. I was saying, we need packing tape. We need it. Someone donated 3 rolls.
There you go.
Just in the bottom of a box.
Yep.
It was the wrong colour, but it worked. It lasted me 3 working days.
Roll of tape a day.
And now I'm on 2 rolls of tape a day sometimes. And now I'm on fragile tape. So,
come on, universe, get your shit together.
Also zip ties, please.
Yep.
Please, universe. And stamping.
Unfortunately, when I knocked this guy off his nail, I damaged his knee. There's a Harry Potter joke in there somewhere, but I'll just move on.
Yeah, I'm not your audience for that.
Joe is thoroughly sick of that joke, I can tell you. So I don't know what to do with this guy's collar. It's very, I don't know, vampire-ish.
Is it part of the cloak?
No, it isn't.
Oh, well, then you can do whatever you want with it. How about pink?
How about pink?
No, that'd look bloody silly.
Do you think?
Well, yeah.
How's the camera angle?
Yeah, good. You've been painting in shot, so that's nice.
There's a bonus.
G'day, Todd. How you going?
Good afternoon. What are you
Good
guys doing?
morning. How
Good
or
morning, I
what?
guess. What's that?
Did you ask how or what?
Yes. Well, I know what.
Well, you only know
Looks like you're
what.
painting.
Only what for one of us. I think Matty might be polishing boots, but he might not be.
That's a good guess. I might not be polishing boots. I actually said stuff it. I can't be bothered this week. I'm beat.
They're not too.
Absolutely beat.
They're not too bad, or they're just you've run out of care factor.
I've run out of polish.
Oh no, Universe! What are you doing?
I did get, 3 dozen cans of Kiwi boot polish donated once.
That'd take you like a century to move that, wouldn't it?
They were 40 or 50 years old.
Right.
They're unused. Still in the wax seal, except for where the wax seals had deteriorated. And they'd shrunk up and dried into little solid cakes of
so you
blackness or
you could
neutral.
ring them like bells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could use them as hockey pucks.
Right. What a pointless donation.
Oh, someone will think that there's historical value in them. Seriously.
What are you doing, Todd?
I just finished working. And switched over to my other computer to start doing more work.
Start on the other job.
Yep. The one that is more rewarding, but pays considerably less.
Yep.
At least we're almost done writing rules, which is a nice thing.
I was just about to ask that question. Have you finished rewriting rules yet?
Just about. Got a couple little things to put in there, and I think we're off to the editors.
Couple of little sections to rewrite.
Well, then the real rewriting begins.
Couple of core mechanics to change.
Oh, if we start having to change core mechanics, we're in real trouble.
I'm only
What's this
saying
I
this.
hear about maneuver template being totally abandoned?
Lies, damned lies. We're only going down this conversational path in the hope that Ross is listening in the background and his eyes have started twitching.
But I was thinking of a whole new dice mechanic to Oh, wife needs me, I'll be right back.
Okay.
And this is how you get no work done.
Getting married.
Also, yes.
Ah, damn you, skyhooks. Damn you to eternity.
Good band.
Terrible song. Now stuck in my head.
Well, don't sing it for us.
I'm not... I could not, even if I wanted to. There's definitely something about knowing one's limitations.
I wonder what Red's up to these days.
Slowing down, I'd imagine. Can't imagine he's young anymore.
72.
Mm.
Mind you, he was on the radio every morning up until relatively recently.
I wonder how much he enjoyed playing that persona. Whether it got irksome.
That would be an interesting question to have an answer for.
I suppose like everything else, it had its moments.
It probably was good fun for a while.
Hmm.
You might have got tired after like 10, 15. How long was he there for? 20 years nearly?
Well, how long was Hey Hey It's Saturday running in that particular format? It was a long time.
Yeah, but he wasn't always there.
No.
That
That whole Red Faces thing didn't run the entire time the show ran. I don't know what to do with that. Bright green? Or a really obnoxious yellow?
Really obnoxious yellow, he says.
I've only got two yellows. An obnoxious one and a really obnoxious one.
Just ask Joe.
I already know the answer to that. Well, what else do you do with an orange cummerbund but give yourself a yellow collar?
Makes sense to me. So the most recent interview with Red I can find was a couple of years ago. It ends with the following line. When he's asked what he wants to do with the rest of his life, he answers plainly, I don't know. And I'm sure the international audience has got no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, but that's okay.
And apparently there is one.
Right, he just went off to help his wife.
But someone else named Havoc91 says greetings in Twitch chat.
There you go.
Greetings.
I assume you've got that covered? My hands are busy.
Well, Todd said hello.
Oh, there you go. Todd's got it covered.
Todd's still on mute.
That's actually quite effective.
Hmm.
Oh, you'll have to wait 20 seconds to see the camera struggling.
I'm not sure about that sort of turquoise skirt, but
What's wrong with that?
it's a little jarring, don't you think?
Absolutely. That's why I'm going to give it another coat.
Fair enough.
Like he really digs the sarong, you know.
I'm back now.
Were you helpful in the meantime?
Mostly.
Mostly. There's a gravestone if ever I've seen one.
He was mostly helpful.
Yeah. Here lies Joe. Mostly helpful. Oh.
I'll borrow that for mine. You really need something to balance that out.
I really need to not be a klutz. Todd's laughing because he's seen a couple of games of Interceptor.
So have I. I don't remember you knocking anything over.
Knocked everything over all the time.
Just wait till Gen Con, and you'll see destruction on the field.
Right. Chip the...
Oops, sorry, I spilt my 64-ounce soda.
They'll need to make these things waterproof, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
I've just spilt my 64-ounce soda. Oh, and I followed it up with half a packet of Cheetos.
No, it'll be the Cheeto-covered fingers that'll be touching all your miniatures.
Yeah, that's right. I need to bring a no Cheetos sign.
You mean you won't be hosing everyone down with disinfectant first?
I'm hoping the people at the door do that.
I wouldn't count on it. I've been to Indiana.
Right. There's a t-shirt.
We're going to have to start a range.
Yeah, we are. I went to Indiana. I was mostly helpful. Have we scared our internet person off yet?
Apparently. Maybe. Oh no, you're still here. Say something. There we go.
Right.
Been lurking here a few times, have considered getting more into Demonworld, but never really made the big leap. Well, it's exciting times ahead for Demonworld, isn't it?
It is. And it isn't a big leap. They're only 15mm figures. But I shouldn't be dismissive of the barriers to people picking up a new army or a new hobby or a new scale. So what do you reckon the right scale is for gaming?
The one that works best at your table.
That's a very PC answer.
Depends on your goal, right? I mean, if you want giant armies of stuff, you know, smaller scales are significantly more practical. You know, you want, 5,000 guys in your army, 28mm is going to be
Well, expensive.
Well, that too.
Requiring of significant amounts of space. I mean, you could be like the Perrys and have a 12-foot by 6-foot gaming table.
The scale I am okay with, just daunting with the amount of models per base.
Oh, the the 3 per base or the 12 per unit. Because if he's talking classic Demonworld, then it's a real worry, because some of those hex bases have 20 or 30 figures on them. We're not going there. Demonworld 4th edition will be 12 figures per unit.
So that's the same as the
Third.
current.
Yep.
Yeah, third.
Shout out to the 3rd edition Demonworld players.
All 5 of them?
Oh well.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I had to rein myself in to not go there. And I was actually going to use a smaller number. But
I have to say, when I've run it at conventions, the 3rd edition at the 12 units, or 12 models per unit.
Yeah.
It's been fine. It goes fast. It's not like there's tons of paperwork, that goes along with them or anything. So.
Well, there's virtually no paperwork, which is
exactly
excellent.
It makes for a quick game, even if there's a lot of units on the board.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is that you're restricting the size of the handful of dice you have to throw, because if you've got a unit of 24 figures, now you're throwing 24 dice, and so it's a matter of keeping that sort of the numbers under control. Someone was asking me during the week about whether epic games can be played with it. Absolutely they can be. If you're prepared to set aside a weekend, you can make the game as big as you like. But really the goal is to play a small to medium sized game in under a couple of hours. Because we're all largely a lot more time poor than we would like.
I think you phrased that a bit better than I would have.
I'm working on my diplomacy skills.
And then I would encourage you to tell us how you really feel, quite sarcastically.
No, don't go there. That's not
That,
the one
and
I
are
want.
we having fun yet?
Well, I am. Like I said right at the start of the stream, I sat down and painted 24 figures in a day because I wanted to. I didn't feel compelled to. I didn't feel like I had to. That's what I wanted to do.
And that's my downfall with miniatures games. I just don't have the patience, I think, anymore to sit down and paint 24 guys. And
everybody has their own goal for what they want to do with the gaming. Some people want the game, some people want the modelling, some people want the collecting. It's actually why it's such a cool sort of a pastime, because there's so many different aspects to it. You can focus on different aspects, and if one aspect doesn't bake your noodle today, then you can focus on a different one. I know lots and lots of people that don't like the painting and would prefer just to play.
that, and I have no friends, so
Well,
it's hard to play a game. I do. Just most of my friends do not like miniatures games.
No, they're role players.
Yep.
I have very few people that I choose to spend my social time with. They're largely miniature gamers. And Matty's gone quiet.
Oh, I was just thinking about how to talk about my own lack of friends without sounding really depressed. I'm going to grab a cup of coffee. I'll be back in a minute.
Good plan. What RPG campaigns are you playing, Todd?
What's that?
What RPG campaigns are you playing?
A friend of mine has just started a vampire game.
As in the Masquerade?
Yep.
Right.
Where we're doing Dark Ages.
What does that entail?
Plague, I guess.
Ooh.
No, I have no idea. We're just starting the new game tonight. We just got done making characters. So we're somewhere in England in the year 1250.
$12.50.
Around, was the game changed from hex bases in 3rd edition? Yes, it was. It moved from hex bases to
Free movement.
Yep.
That's not really free movement. It's regulated movement on bases, but it's not on the hexes.
Is it? Well, standardized bases, but they're...
Well, 3rd sort of went there. We're going to go a little bit further with 4th, and we're going to regulate the base sizes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you're talking about Demonworld now?
We
Yes.
are. Hey, Kle.
Excellent. Morning. So it's going to become sizes mentioned in the rules.
Yeah.
20 by 40 and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Might piss off the other 3 players in the world, but makes sense. And especially having it 20 by 40, I think it's a good size because you can, when you turn them perpendicular, everything still lines up nicely.
Yeah. The biggest aspect of that discussion that I needed to cover off to make sure of was 1879, because 1879 is governed by the same core rule mechanics. We needed to make sure that the 1879 figures were going to work. I'm reasonably sure, never 100% sure, but reasonably sure that I've convinced Ross that is the right way to go. I have a couple of stands of 1879 British line troops here on 20 by 40 bases, and they line up beautifully. There's plenty of room on the base around them, so I don't think that's an issue.
The only problem I had was the bayonets. Like
Really?
if you're putting them in a row.
Yeah, stacking them deep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I managed to get around that, so...
Yeah, you can. That was just the only issue I had with them. Yeah, it wasn't like a showstopper or anything.
Yeah. So we just have to agree on exactly what the base sizes are, and they'll go into the rules. But I don't think we're far off. Like, I think, for example, single leaders will go on the same size basis as the infantry stands, like this.
That's what we were doing before, right?
Yeah, so that's it. So that your commander is on the same base size as your line troops.
Yep.
Whereas your casters are on the half size base.
Hang on, your casters.
Yeah, so the magic.
Oh
users,
yeah. That's what I've done.
Yeah. So that's how you differentiate. So things like musicians and banners and stuff like that, they'll be on the half size basis as well.
Yeah. Is the intention just to have them lined up behind the units that they're applying bonuses to?
Yeah, the musicians and the banner bearers will be buffs for commanders, not units specifically. So they'll be adding effects to the command, so the command radius and the command effectiveness.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the commander can join a unit, and if the commander happens to be being buffed by a musician and a banner bearer, then the commander will bring that into the unit as well. So, but we've got to cover rules for then, because normally when a commander is attached to a unit and they're in melee combat, the commander gets half the hits on the unit. So then now I have to figure out how to spread that to the banner bearer and the musician if they're also in contact. So there's a few things to worry about.
I am happy to hear the inclusion of the banner bearers and musicians.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got the figures, so we should include them.
Yeah. Well, because I had started, painting and working with the miniatures before the release of the 3rd edition rules, and, when the rules came out, there was like,
where
are
are
these
they?
guys for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Because I was excited about that, and then it didn't turn up. So.
Yeah. So no, we need to include them.
Well, you need to get them into the miniatures packs as well, because they're not in the U18 versions of...
Oh, yeah.
And I know that changing those is a hassle.
Well, that's coming. Hey.
I actually assumed, when you say put them into the miniatures pack, are you talking about, say, one of 12 is now a musician or a banner bearer?
No.
Okay, just into the actual...
Just into
categories.
Yes, exactly right. So, you go into the humans and you go into, let's say, for argument's sake, a specific faction. You might have a banner bearer of a specific type, or... I mean, probably not. You probably just go into the main race and there'll be a list of the banner bearers available for that race. That's more likely what's going to happen, because I don't want to completely reinvent that catalogue, because that's a lot of work for a lot of people. But things like, for argument's sake, Matty, if you've got that site up, you have a look at the Isthak. The Isthak don't have a dragon.
Yep.
So RPE do a number of single dragons. So there's an ice dragon and there's an undead dragon. So why not include those in the Isthak range as well, whether they've got riders or not, and maybe we can modify one of the cavalry figures to be the rider of that particular dragon. But so there were other conversations going on, like, for example, not all the Isthak kingdoms are in the frozen north. So something like having cavalry made out of a polar bear and an ice sled aren't really all that appropriate. So take a chariot, so for argument's sake take the current Empire chariot, crew it with bears instead of horses, and put Isthak crew in the back of it. Now you've got an Isthak chariot, not what is an Empire's chariot. So some mucking about is going to go on with the figure range to start adding a little bit more variety than what was available over first, second and third editions, just to give people more options to flesh out the different racial armies, things like that. You know, like we've got goblins riding spiders. Well, why can't we have wood elves riding spiders, or wood elves riding beetles, or whatever? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there'll be a bunch of that. Much probably to the annoyance of the Railpatha guys, because now we'll be pulling figures from way different moulds. But you know, I've got to go through and I've got to do all of that, as well as another pass on the rules. I've had some very good feedback on the rules over the course of the week, asking a lot of very good questions that we need to answer. So,
yep.
Ross and I will be sitting down after this live stream to put our heads together to answer some of those, as well as actually starting play testing. So, I'm very, very much looking forward to that.
Are you going to have a game today?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have we updated the vehicle rules?
Oh boy.
Is that a can of worms?
It is. It's a vehicle-sized can of worms, and those are conversations that I need to have. Fortunately for me, vehicles won't be in the free quick play, so I've got a little bit more time to sort those out. But 100% they have to be sorted out because they're a mess. Vehicles,
Yes.
vehicles and fortifications, or buildings in general, are a mess. I'm not sure exactly what we were attempting to do with those, but they need to be cleaned up. And hopefully not make them worse. Hopefully.
So will you be making buildings a part of the game, or is it kind
Yes.
of more of a...
Yes, 100%, because we're going down the path of starting to produce terrain for the game. We're going to have rules for the terrain. So.
I can imagine it'd be quite cool making little fortifications in 15 mil. It doesn't take much to have then a castle wall or a keep or something.
Yep.
It's quite an achievable size.
Yeah, and we've already started that work. I've already started work on designing the castle walls and keeps and gates, and hence the new laser cutter.
The new laser cutter, excellent.
If
I'm currently painting Guard of the Gate, so
oh nice.
I need some gates.
Right. You want some dwarven gates?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have any dwarven gates yet, so
No, I was actually thinking of making a little dwarven diorama style thing.
that would be very cool.
Yeah, I picked up some old Warhammer Fantasy Battle army books.
Yep.
And I picked up an old dwarf one. Only got a few nice pieces of scenery in there, and I was like, oh, I should do something like that in 15 mil. You know, because the scale suddenly is so much easier to work with and a lot less work.
I hope you got steady hands.
It depends what time of the day.
After 9 a.m., the drinking hour.
Yeah, not so good. Most of my best things are done at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Good God.
When the house is quiet, no
Yep.
interruptions.
No interruptions. And generally before light, so, you know, I don't have any of those farmy jobs like letting chickens out and checking on the other animals and all this sort of stuff.
There's a really nice thing as you're doing characters. I'm going through a lot of different paint colours at the moment. It's quite different from doing the units, because the units you've got 9 colours, and it's just colour pass, colour pass, colour pass, colour pass, colour pass. So this is nice as a change. Anyhow, go on. You were going to say something.
Oh yeah, just to add to that, I really liked that you had some Empire. It wasn't a siege tower, but it was some sort of cannon tower or something like that.
The rolling fortress.
Yep.
Yeah.
With a whole bunch of shields around it. They looked wicked with all the different colours on them.
Yeah.
That was excellent. I thought it really brightened things up across the whole army by having a piece like that.
Yeah. It's interesting you aren't the first person who commented on that particular piece and those particular shields. There's a guy in the 15mm fantasy group on Facebook who called that out. He thought that he expressed the same opinion about how it lifted that piece.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. Yep. I was just going to say that I just painted those 24 guard at the gate, just the metallics, or even just the silver on them, all the weapons and armor, and it just ruined a brush. 24 guys and the brush is ruined.
Oh no.
I hate metallics.
Yeah. Todd, did you just ask to join the Facebook group?
I did.
I haven't been talking to you, have I, Todd? You're not running multiple accounts on us.
I changed Facebook accounts, so my old one was probably on
Twitch
there.
accounts.
But I have plenty of troll accounts that are in there, so just in case.
These are the ones you created for the second Ether Stream Kickstarter campaign.
Yes. Just in case.
Just in case. It's funny, but it's not funny. Oh, wow.
It was relatively troll free. I was
We got one, and it was only one.
And that wasn't,
No, that wasn't too bad. Hey, Kle, what brush was it?
What's that I wrecked?
Yeah.
It is a reasonably cheapy. It's called Golden Maple.
Right.
Yeah, not an expensive brush. Something I got off Amazon in a pack.
Right.
No, I haven't decided. Is it better to have a Facebook page or a Facebook group?
Those are questions that only the universe can answer, isn't it?
Yeah, I am certainly no help there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the benefits and drawbacks are.
With groups, you can have multiple managers, I think.
You can do that with the page too, though.
Well, then I got no idea.
Yeah, I'm just trying to decide why. And I have our Etherstream page, but do I need a group? I don't know. Probably not.
The thing about the page is just that you get constant spamming by Facebook telling you to promote it.
That is true.
The reason I asked about the brush clear is because this one is just about getting to the point where it's not usable anymore. Sometimes you'll see at the moment, like, it's kind of got a point, and then sometimes it just goes like Kramer's hair.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, to be honest, I have actually been using that brush for quite a while, but it was in a lot better condition until it went through 24 metallics.
Yeah.
And I was doing what we were talking about the other day. I was washing it every 2 or so miniatures.
Yeah.
And I was always using the Hamia paint retarder.
Yep.
That really watery one.
Yep.
And so, but still, it just obviously just gets stuck in there and it wrecks the metallic bits. Just wreck the brush.
So this has got a point on it at the moment. This is not too bad. So watch this. I'm gonna wash it out. Oh, now you point. She just. Never mind. Next time it goes all Kramer, I'll show you.
Yeah, mine's just doing that kind of thing now. It just goes almost straight with a few little bit of curly bits.
Yeah. Oh, I've put the silvers away in the wrong place. The gold away in the wrong place. Sorry about the big head in the camera shot. I don't know. Did we answer all the questions?
I guess. If not, let us know.
So, according to Google, a Facebook page is mostly for advertising purposes because it's open to everybody. A group is more for engaging with your audience.
That sounds too complicated.
Yeah, sounds like SEO stuff to me.
Insert derogatory acronym.
Yeah, I'm just mulling those over, and I don't like anything that I've come up with.
So, Kle, coincidence or not? I get pinged by Program Manager within 10 minutes of getting the invitation to my yearly review. Said the Program Manager wants to have a chat, in quotes.
But your program manager isn't your yearly...
Oh, no. Yes, absolutely. These are two very different people.
Yeah,
but do you think they might be linked, given that the unfortunate reaction to that joke, the other week?
Would be, but I don't think so.
Maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty petty if it was an unfortunate reaction to that joke. Yeah, I would think more than likely it's
Nothing related.
nothing related, probably more to do with shifting people around.
Oh, yeah. Because we've spent the last 3 months telling them to stop shifting people around. So what are they doing?
Yep.
Anyhow. There's my paranoid moment.
It's not paranoia if you're justified.
There's a really funny sort of I'm not sure what you call them. What do you call them where there's a short body of text that's promoting the content of a book?
A blurb.
Yeah, something along those lines. So there's a blurb on the back of an Ian Banks novel, and one of the lines in it is, so-and-so thinks they're out to get him, ... They are.
I'd call that a spoiler.
Now that I've called my brush out, it's behaving. I should have called it out earlier.
Yeah, maybe I should try that trick.
Ask the universe, and the universe will provide.
Was that a spoiler?
Maybe.
Oh, here we go. Can I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. Where's the camera? Come back that way. Are you going to focus? No. Can you see there's one hair? Just one. Sticking out the side.
It's alright, it's still got a point on it. You can do that extra fine detail when you want to turn your brush to the side.
That's how I do the mustaches.
Yeah.
Well, this brush has been good, but I think it's just... Oh, yeah, it's starting to separate now.
I think I'm about to do a brush order.
Yeah, me too. Mind you, I'm holding off spending any money because we've got the holiday coming up that I have to pay for, so...
So, question from our new friend Havoc91. How long does a brush usually last you?
That's an extremely good question. So this one that I'm holding in my hand at the moment is about 3 months old. This one, which is my 20-0, which is my literally painting individual hairs on the side of 15mm model, that's 20 years old. This...
Yeah, I'd say
it's
my
2 or 3
workhorse
years
brushes
old.
would last for 6 to 12 months.
This one is a workhorse brush, and that's 3 years old, I guess.
Not cheap ones, by the way. If you want a workhorse brush, don't buy a cheap one.
Yeah, you want to be spending sort of $20 as a minimum for a workhorse brush.
Otherwise, they just won't last.
Yeah, your $7, $8, and $9 Taklons, they last about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is the oldest Taklon I've got, and you probably can't see it on the camera, but it's got the hook already formed. I've used it half a dozen times. Model paints scraping brushes over metal surfaces, and that Taklon doesn't deal with it at all, so don't bother. And the white and gold Taklon, I've had no difference. They both curl, and they both curl very quickly. So natural hair brushes, spend a little bit. You don't have to go to Winsor & Newton if you don't really want to, because $35 and $40 a brush is probably getting a bit excessive. But yeah, you need to spend a little bit on get natural hair brushes, and then look after them. You wanna, from time to time, you want to give them a going over with brush cleaner.
And don't use things like inks and metallics on them. if you can avoid it.
If you can avoid it, yeah, use the cheaper brushes for the inks, because the inks go right up into the ferrule, and once they're into the ferrule, they're done. That's what this brush's problem is, actually. There's contrast paint buried right in there. You can rescue them to some degree. 100% isopropyl alcohol will pull the paint out of the ferrule, and you'll get a little bit longer out of them. But if you wash them, if you do the 100% isopropyl alcohol, then you need to really wash them in soapy water afterwards to get rid of all of the alcohol, and then you need to condition them, because you've just taken a lot of the natural conditioning out of the hairs. So it's a thing. A brush will last maybe as long as how well you treat it. So this is a brush I use for basing, and so it gets all sorts of abuse with texture paints and inks and PVA glue and all that kind of stuff, and it would probably be 4 years old. Obviously I'm not going to paint eyeballs with that, not unless we're doing 128mm figures or something. Actually, I might not even be able to do an eyeball on that size.
Yeah, you still might.
So yeah, there's a video by a girl I follow on YouTube who's a prolific painter, and she was saying she doesn't look after her brushes, and then she was touting the advantages of Winsor and Newtons, and I'm like, oh dear Lord, you've got $40 brushes and you don't look after them. Eep.
Crazy.
Yes.
I look after the cheap ones because it just makes them last longer.
Yeah. Well, this is
So
the
if you
thing.
look any brush, you just got to look after it.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, the only ones I don't really look after are those, like you said, those big basing ones.
Yeah.
They generally just need a wash out, even if it's PVA or any textured paints. Just give them a wash out.
Wash out in warm water.
Yeah, but any of your workhorse brushes, I look after all of them, cheap or not.
Yep.
Because let's face it, I hate spending money on brushes.
Yeah, and if you've got the substances to look after the expensive brushes, you might as well look after the cheap ones as well.
Yeah, it generally doesn't take long to give it a wash with soap when you're finished with it for the session.
Yeah.
Or do a bit of a restoration job and go through some of them and actually give them a really good.
Yeah. If you want, like, most of what Citadel produces is of dubious value, but these dry brushes that they produce are absolutely unbelievably good. They are really tough. You can really abuse them, and they'll just keep coming back for more. Whereas the Taklon stuff, you do dry brushing with a Taklon, just chuck it away. Just put it in the bin. It's never coming back. I'm going to secret source these, I think. I think it's that time. Oh, just flick the orange on this guy. Not that it's secret source either, by the way. Make that sound far cooler than it is.
I was going to ask which secret source you're using, if it was strong tone or something else.
Yeah, it's strong tone.
Do you know the difference between strong tone and Agrax Earthshade? Does strong tone still have a bit of black in it, or is it a pure brown?
That's a really good question. Why don't we experiment and find out? So we'll use a tissue. That's strong tone. Oh. There's Agrex. So I would have said the Agrex has got the black in it.
The Agrex definitely has black in it.
Yeah.
And I know that's one of the complaints some people will have against it, is that if you use it, they will make it your model quote unquote dirty, and what they mean is it's got black in it where it shouldn't really have black.
Yeah. And one of the other things that those shades are guilty of is tea staining. You end up with a rime ring, whereas with the Army Painter quick shades, when they're thinned properly, you don't get that. And by thinned properly, I mean the 50-50 mix with the surface tension breaker. If you don't put the surface tension breaker in, that's the key. The problem with the Citadel shades is if you're starting to dilute them and you put a surface tension breaker in. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but you get white frosting.
I know exactly that.
Yeah. See, you can't thin the Citadel shades. I've never had any luck thinning them.
Yep.
You end up with this white sort of frost rime sort of thing on it, and it's ruined at that point. Like, you've got to do all sorts of things to get rid of it. And so, for me, the properly thinned quick shade with the surface tension breaker gives you absolutely the best effect. Like,
yeah, I might check out some of that strong tone.
Yeah.
As an alternative to using black in it.
This base,
Yeah.
that's Agrex.
Look, I personally don't have any issue with Agrex because in the way I use it, I will do my base coats of all of the colours and whatever pre-highlighting I wish or whatever. Then Agrex the whole thing, and in 15mm I'm talking like dipping this thing in the bucket style.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back with the base colour and retouch up everything.
Yeah.
So all you're really left with is quote unquote the dirt in the where you want it in the
Yep.
shade areas. So, and I feel like I don't have that much of an issue having a touch of black in a shadow.
No, not at all. That's precisely what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, some people prefer to do desaturation or various other things and don't want black in it ever.
No, but there are some people that do 9 coats of a thin colour to get the colour build up that they want. It's just it's a choice of painting style.
Yeah,
For
and
me,
it's also a choice of your artistic colour, and I think at 15mm you can afford to have black to delineate colours.
Yeah.
I think it actually helps rather than keeping it in the cleaner, more saturated, desaturated realm.
So there's the reason I don't is because I don't go back over these. So those faces are just inked faces. Well, they're not inked; they're shaded faces, and they're never touched again. And so it's about what you're attempting to achieve. I was attempting to achieve 24 completely painted figures in a day.
Yeah. Whereas I don't mind spending that time to go back over and re-highlight, and then so I touch up with the base colour and then I'll apply a highlight on top of that.
Yep. And that's a fairly typical thing now, is that people use a shade. And this is where Zenithal comes in too, right? So you're doing the pre-shading as much as possible, and if you're using an ink to pre-shade, that's just a choice. But then you're doing the layering and highlighting in a more traditional sort of a sense, from the perspective of that's what the teaching has been over the last 20 years. A lot of guys now, if you look at what Angel Giraldez is doing, he's using a black undercoat and he's using airbrush, and he's using the black and the airbrush combination to do the pre-shade, and then goes over with inks and then highlights and whatever. And I mean, he's producing astounding results.
Yep. Yeah, I think having some form of pre-shading makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge.
Whereas I'm not bothering. So.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it also depends, like you said, what you want to get out of it. If you want models that look good at 3 foot because they're on the table, and that's what the goal is, then that's achieved.
Yeah. Well, so there's 2 goals in my mind where I am with my hobby right now, and that is A, an army on the table, and B, an army that looks reasonable from arm's length. So each individual figure doesn't need to be perfect, but from arm's length it's a compelling image. And I think what I posted into the Demonworld group during the week, I think shows that I'm managing to achieve that.
That Empire one, isn't it?
Yeah. So this looks really heavy, this coat of... But in actual fact, because of the thinning of it and because of the surface tension breaker in it, as it dries, it'll pull right in and lighten back up again. And I think it's really important for 15mm miniatures that you let them lighten back up again. It's too easy at this scale to make them too dark.
Yeah. Actually, that was something I was watching in a video the other day about War Master, and they were like, you really got to be careful you don't let it go dark, making sure it's nice and light and bright at this scale. Which I thought was a good tip.
The smaller the scale, so 6mm is even more extreme.
Yeah.
So I'm not dipping, because I don't dip, because there's too much nastiness associated with dipping, but this is a fairly liberal coat of shade.
It's the same. I just give it a very liberal coat of Agrax.
And I don't let it pull. So, you've got... See there's this big blob here? You just pull that out.
Yeah, I also... I do put a flow aid in my Agrax. And I think Citadel already put some in their Agrax, I believe.
They do. It's already there.
Yeah, and I just touched it up with a little bit of the airbrush one.
Right.
Because you only need a very little bit of that Vallejo one.
Yeah. I've had such nasty results with that, I don't do it at all anymore.
With the Vallejo one, or just with shades?
Just with the shades.
Yeah.
I've had very, very bad results with non-oil Agrax and Seraphim Sepia. All 3 of them, I get that white rime, so I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I don't have issues with when I use that Vallejo one, because I only put in a couple of drops, so you don't actually dilute it.
Yeah, well, that's probably the difference.
It's not like the
thinner.
Yep. Where you might want to actually, thin. I think with the flow aid, I usually put in my airbrush thing, I will put sort of 4 to 10 drops.
Right.
Depending on how thick the airbrush paint is. So if it's a primer, it might be less, and if it's a, say, game color, it'll be more.
Yeah.
But then, that's for a pretty full cup of airbrush paint.
Mm-hmm.
So in a bottle of Agrax, I'm only putting about 10 drops.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it just gives it that extra ability to not pull.
Yeah.
And just suck it into the corner so you get those really dark lines.
So yeah, this guy looks really heavy at the moment. But as he dries, he'll lighten back up.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to set those to aside now, so that's probably it for today. So they don't look too bad. Are you sold on the turquoise skirt yet?
Yes. I mean, seriously, it was just so light with that first coat. I'm thinking, That's a bit silly.
Yeah. The second coat made a huge difference.
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
What
that
did you
whole
use for that? Was it Aether Waddy Blue?
Aethermatic blue,
Yeah.
2 coats.
Yeah, that one does need 2 coats, I
Yeah,
found.
it's too thin.
Because that's what I've done all my beastmen in.
Yeah, it's too thin.
They 15mm beastmen or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Demonworld.
the stacked Demonworld beastmen.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. So
Nice.
that I did a little bit of touch up on the metal on this one. You know, went back over and did a little bit of highlighting on the metal after the wash, but not a great deal.
Yeah.
And just the technique just picks up the depth, like it really makes the figure pop. You know?
That metal looks good on there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
His armor.
Yeah. So, and the you start with the contrast paint on the cloak, and then you do the wash, and it just takes that contrast paint to the next level. So, contrast paint isn't just an end; it's just another tool.
It's just another tool. Yeah, I'm actually going to give Quinton most of my contrast paints.
What, to encourage him to paint at all?
Yeah, because I'm never going to use them.
Right.
I bought about 10 when I started the Demonworld stuff.
Yeah, right.
I'll do that. I tried to use them, and I'm just like a fish out of water, man.
Yeah, right. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. I think I've got them all. That's very sad.
Right.
It's very sad. No, they're just another tool. And
Yeah.
it's worth having a conversation then about the new Army Painter quick shades that are coming, or whatever they're calling them, which it's their move into that market as well. It's between the traditional paint and the ink. There's that sort of semi-ink or semi-paint, if you like. And I've seen some people doing videos on them now, and they're not a direct replacement for the contrast paint. They behave differently.
Yeah, right.
Which I think is excellent, because now we've got yet another tool.
Yeah.
Because if they were
You
just...
don't need them just producing the same thing under a different brand.
No.
It's good that it behaves differently. You can get different properties out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm dead keen on these miniature paints that Ralpatha sell. What are they called?
Miniature paints.
They are just called miniature paints, MP. These are excellent paints. Really nice, fine grind, and a really good consistency in the pot. They mix well, they flow well, they don't need a lot of thinning, although you can thin them and get really good effect out of them. They're really, really good. Better straight out of the bottle than Army Painter and Vallejo. Much better straight out of the bottle than Citadel. So they're excellent. I'd recommend those. I do like contrast paint just because of the speed that they give you, but they're not perfect, not by a long stretch. And Vallejo for the sheer range of colour, and Army Painter for the ease of use. So it's a case of put as many tools in your toolbox as you possibly can and use the right one for the job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've still got a few select Games Workshop things I like.
These things are absolutely brilliant. The texture paints are brilliant. You know, their shades for various things are brilliant. On the other hand,
stuff.
their bases and their layer paints, I could leave now. Now, having used the Vallejos and the Army Painters, and particularly these miniature paints from Ralpatha, I could probably bin all of the Citadel bases and layers. I just don't need them. Their dries, on the other hand, I use them quite a bit. The ability to pick out and use a yellow dry without having to muck about with, wetter paints and drying the brush out and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's just another tool.
Yeah.
And maybe you balk at spending $6 on something that you're going to use twice a year, but I've had really good results out of those.
Yeah, I think my issue with those is I got a bunch that were already too dry.
Yeah,
they were off.
They had a bunch that were bad. They did.
Yeah.
Something else to note, right? This paint here, this ceramite white. So Citadel have withdrawn this. You can't buy this anymore, and there's a good reason for that. So I open it up. You have a look at the crusting on the inside of the pot and the lid. No, this thing doesn't stay mixed. You can see in the bottom of that. You can see that grey liquid.
Yeah,
because the thing separates. It drops out in about 15 minutes. And so you've got to constantly mix it and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really, really difficult paint to use. And sometimes it can leave a chalky sort of residue and all that kind of stuff. It's actually like really difficult to use. But the coverage, oh my lord. If you need to correct something because like a contrast paint's gone in an area that it shouldn't have gone, and you need that under to be white because you want to use a different contrast and everything like that. This stuff is amazing.
Right. Yeah.
But as a general white paint to paint something white, oh dear Lord, no. Don't go anywhere near it. But this is the thing, okay? So this is Corax White, which is currently Citadel's whitest white. Okay, it's not white.
It's not white at all, is it?
It's grey.
Yeah, there you go. They don't do a white.
They don't do a white. There isn't a bright white. So you have a look. So this is grey sear. So you can see the progression.
Yeah.
So that is the whitest white they do at the moment.
That one was just when I saw it.
Yeah.
You can tell against the text on it, on the front of the label and stuff, which is white.
Yeah. And yet,
there you go.
And yet they've got this Praxetti white, which is in fact white, but it's a dry. It's not a layer or a base or something like that. So it's just about having the right tools. And actually, they do white scar, which is a layer, which is white, but it's not a base. And so it just doesn't have the coverage. And that's really what I'm using the ceramite white for, is a corrective. It's like your eraser. Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I used a dead white.
I've
got a whole bunch of random Vallejo ones that are just off whites, and they do the job quite well.
So you want whites?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't remember what order I picked them up in. That's going to do my head in now, putting it back in the thing.
Well, to be honest, I actually don't stick with any one. I just mix them up, different models, because it just gives you different textures or tones of white.
Yep.
Yep.
When is white?
Exactly. So I have a whole range of them, and I'll use a different set on them.
Yeah, there's
different ones.
Blue whites and red whites and yellow whites and whatever. So, and there's no science to it. Just do what looks good, what makes you happy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So hopefully that was at least somewhat informative.
Absolutely.
There we go. Thanks, guys. It's a really good session. Enjoyed that. And
thanks for having us.
We've got 2 figures that are 3/4 done. So yeah. Photos out later.
Yeah, join the Demonworld book Facebook group. You'll see them.
Yeah, Todd. All right. Hope everybody enjoys their weekend. See you next week.
E-man.
Cheers.
Bye.